What if your greatest struggle could become the very source of your greatest strength? Welcome to Catalyst of Change, the space where we explore what it means to lead with soul, create with intention, and serve from the heart. Today's guest is David Lusch, one of the leading teachers of Dr. and Master Sha, who is also the founder of Love, Peace, and Harmony. David is the author of How I Healed My Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder and co-author of the best-selling Greatest Forgiveness book. David's story begins with a deep struggle, severe OCD and thyroid issues that made daily life challenging. Yet within a year of meeting Master Sha and practicing his teachings, David experienced complete healing. Since then, he has dedicated his life to helping others transform their health, relationships, and lives. In this conversation, David will share his healing journey, the practices that changed his life, and the power of forgiveness as a pathway to freedom and peace. Let's dive in. So welcome, David. I'm so excited you're here on Catalyst of Change.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Alexia.
It's amazing. You are definitely someone who has played an amazing role in my life as a mentor, as a teacher. You have extraordinary wisdom. And so it's just such an honor and a privilege to have you on today. So thank you.
I am grateful to be here.
Yeah. And so a lot was covered in the intro, and I'm excited to dive in because you are like a testament to Master Sha's wisdom and teachings, like was mentioned for those who are maybe watching for the first time. Master Sha is the founder of Love, Peace, Harmony, the founder and creator of this podcast as well, Catalyst of Change. And he has an extraordinary community all around the world of people who are dedicated to healing. And so my curiosity is basically, what was it like for you on this journey in your life, having OCD, and then getting to a point where you discovered Master Sha's wisdom and teachings? What was that journey like for you?
For me, OCD is like living in an inner prison. It's like living in an inner hell. And the amount of ongoing internal suffering, the strife, the fear, worry, anxiety cycle, which is the obsessions that drives you to the compulsions, which for me was touching and counting, just took its toll day after day after day. And the thing about OCD is it's one of the rarer mental illnesses, disorders. It's an anxiety disorder that you still have common sense. You know what you're doing doesn't really logically make sense, yet you continue it because for me, when you hit that number 4 or multiple of 4, 16, 400, 1600, it could just be wild at times. That cycle of that fear, worry, anxiety, the chemicals, all of a sudden instantly relieves. But then long term, you are going into a system of being conditioned where the suffering is just ongoing. So it's like that inner prison, that inner hell is just, it feels like no way out. You feel helpless, you feel controlled. For me, the thoughts you're going to be kidnapped, molested, killed, or your mom's going to die or whatever just drives you into this real kind of like fight or flight mode. This real inner chemical response, even if the situation is not real. So on that journey with Western medicine, and I honor Western medicine, it helped me, and it helped me a lot, but it didn't heal me.
First, I want to just mention like the word OCD, it has almost become like trendy or something now. Like people will say, "Oh, you have OCD."
Oh, that's my OCD.
If your room is clean or something, like, "Oh, well, you have OCD." So what I really value and what you're bringing forward is like helping people to understand like this is a real medical condition that has like serious symptoms. Like, for example, you giving us a window into the inside of like what were some of those thoughts you were like a child, right? Like really young, like in your
around age
teens
10.
or yeah. So it's like
age 10 it started. I was diagnosed at age 13.
Okay. So like this young little boy, right, having these incessant thoughts. So it's really like, I just wanted to highlight basically that it's a serious condition,
It it is, and when people make light of it or they make humor of it, there's a insensitivity to those who really suffer from it.
Right.
And you wouldn't go around saying, "Oh, that's my this condition
Right.
or that condition." Right? And the same thing, we approach different races, different ethnicities, different religions, belief systems. We can be very conscious and careful. But you're right. I've been in situations, even though I'm healed of OCD now, I've been in situations where people go, "Oh, that's my OCD," and the whole table laughs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, because I lived with it and I understand that it's not something you want. It's not funny. To suffer from any mental disorder, illness, any health condition, it's not funny. Whether it's cancer, whether it's chronic pain, whether it's arthritis, whether it's being overweight or an eating disorder or whatever, someone is really dealing and battling inside, trying to find that love, that joy, that peace, that freedom. And when someone makes a joke or light of it, it can really hurt those people. It can really sting. It can cause someone who's maybe already shut down or shutting down to even shut down further. And so there is definitely a shift in consciousness that needs to occur with people, because when you look at someone and say, "Oh, that's your OCD. Oh, that's your health issue, whatever, health issue A or B, or get over it." There's a lack of understanding of what that person is living and battling and dealing with and going through, and to help those people, whether it's OCD or not, you want them to feel safe, because they don't feel safe inside.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to feel protected. They don't feel protected inside. They feel like their life is out of their control, and that they're hanging on to a thread, and it can feel inside life or death, even if it's not, physically real. The chemicals that are being released in the body are telling them it is real.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, it would be, if this conversation can shed some light on it, it can maybe help people to understand, like, when you say to someone, just don't do it. It's like telling someone with self-love issues, just feel the love.
Right. Just relax.
It's like telling someone, just do this. And it's like, well, if it was that easy, I wouldn't be suffering and in this, internal, what may be viewed as a horrible system or situation or condition. Who wants to suffer, right? Yeah. So when we can create an environment where it's not made fun of, I think can actually facilitate more openness and healing.
Mm-hmm. It really resonates, and it feels like it opens a space of compassion and also understanding, and realizing like we may not understand, like I don't understand what it's like to have that. And one of the things that it brings into even a bigger picture is like just in general mental health. And the fact that when I have a physical health issue, it's clear. If I have a broken limb and I'm using crutches, people see, oh, she needs help opening the door or this or that. But if I'm struggling mentally inside or emotionally and I've got these challenges, it's not like I have a sign on me saying, look at this. And so there's so many people in our lives and in the world who are really suffering inside, and we may have no idea. So I love what you're saying, because it's saying like, hey, like, let's look at the ways in our language, in our communication, in our communities, in our coworkers, and our friends and family, like how can we create more safe spaces to allow for these things to be spoken about and allow for these things to come out. And I mean, one of the ways that I've seen you do this is being a teacher, training thousands of practitioners around the world and actually creating that space for self-healing and for bringing people modalities to heal. And so my curiosity is like, what was it like for you shifting from being the one receiving, and then now it's like you're in that position where you're empowering others? Like, how was that shift and journey for you? Did you know that over 70% of young people in the United States report struggling with anxiety, and more than 1 in 5 teens experience a mental health challenge each year? At Love, Peace, Harmony, we believe in the healing power of art, music, and community. Our programs help youth express emotions, build confidence, and rediscover their joy and purpose. Your $35 monthly membership directly supports and impacts emotional wellness programs that change lives, one song, one calligraphy, one heart at a time. Join the movement. Become a member today at lovepeaceharmony.org.
Well, it's interesting because when I met Master Sha, I knew I would be healed. And it's not logical, because in Western medicine, they teach you how to live your life with it, to manage it. And whether it's through a medication and or cognitive behavioral therapy, it can help you. And it helped me a lot. It's just I was on the side effects of, I had side effects from the medication. It was a drug called anafranil. And I was tired all the time. It gave me dry mouth. So I drank lots of water. I go to the bathroom frequently. And it was just, you need the medication because it numbs you and it helps you. And yet the side effects really like wear upon you. It feels like, for me, it wore me down over time. And although with the medication and on my own, I just stopped the counting and touching. It was cognitive behavioral therapy was around, but I didn't have any at that time in the early 90s. Yet with that, you still have the obsessions and compulsions in other ways. And so Western medicine helped me a lot. It just didn't heal me. So when I met Master Sha, I wanted to be healed. And he brought, heal the soul first, then the healing of the heart, mind, body, and every aspect of life will follow. And it just rang so true in my being. Yet it wasn't logical. I just knew I would be healed. And when I went to my first retreat, I received all kinds of Tao blessings and Tao light transmissions. And I learned to meditate. I learned to chant. I learned to do all these things. And I went home and I practiced because I'd been down different roads and I knew where they led. But I wanted freedom. I wanted to be healed. And the universe opened the door in front of me. And I had a choice to make. And I went through it. And I had to change the way I was living my life here and here, going to clubs, doing this, doing that. So I could focus and give the proper attention to healing. And so with that, I was healed and off of all medication within 1 year of meeting Master Sha. And after 9 years, my psychiatrist wrote up this wonderful letter on how he responded to Master Sha's techniques and then great prognosis. And I've been off medication now since June of 2005.
Wow.
Which is a long, long time. But I remember in that first year, I sat, I reflected. Because at the time, I wanted, I had different plans in my mind for my life. Have a business, making lots of money, et cetera, et cetera. But I sat there and I asked myself this question. If I dedicated my life to this and I could only help one person like I was helped, would that be worth my life? And my answer was yes. And I've never looked back. And I remember it was in January of 2022 when I was living in London, the United Kingdom. I met this woman, and I don't remember her name. I met her one time. And I told this story. She's the only one who asked me this question back. She said, did you help that one person? And instantly I had like these light chills down my body. You know how like your whole body goes into goosebumps, the chills? Whoosh. Then a second, whoosh. And then a third, whoosh. And then like on the fourth, whoosh. And then like a fifth, whoosh. And I said, well, actually, I've been able to help over 1,000 people. And although I knew that, just the way she asked the question, the way it like hit me in the moment, I was like, wow, what a blessing. What a complete life transformation.
Wow. Like, did you ever imagine that when you were younger? Did you ever imagine, like, was that part of your dream of what you wanted to do in your life?
I would say no.
That's so,
I would say I did not have plans to be a spiritual teacher, a spiritual healer, a spiritual communicator. My plans was make a lot of money, go around the world, have fun. What, you think is fun, that's probably creating negative information and blockages, and then find enlightenment. But I didn't know what enlightenment was. It was a word, and I said, I want it. It sounds good. It sounds happy. Coming from OCD, where you're like an inner hell, inner prison, suffering like wild, eating. It's like you're living life eating a cookie, right? You eat a cookie, you have momentarily joy, and what do you want? The next cookie.
mm-hmm.
So you cookie, you're never long-term fulfilled, even if you have good grades. Like I got good grades, I was a good athlete. At the time I met Master Sha, I was very much into personal training. I could squat 450 pounds. I could do Romanian, they're called Romanian deadlifts, a certain movement, 450 pounds. I could bench press 375 pounds.
Wow.
I had about 40 more pounds of muscle than what you see right now. And so it's not like I didn't have like success in life. It's just you're miserable pretty much every other moment other than those cookies where you get to temporarily forget what's going on in your life. And that's with OCD, but people have that with any condition. They have that in relationships. How many men or women, they go home after a 12-hour day at work and they're sitting in the car thinking, my gosh, I have to go in my house now. Mm-hmm. And I got to deal or be with these people or whatever. And it just feels 20 times heavier. How many people are suffering from chronic pain and they can't do what they love or enjoy, whether it's a sport, whether it's a hobby, whether it's picking up their baby. It's so many people are suffering in their own ways. And because we're all suffering, and we have these is not a phone. Okay, this is The Greatest Forgiveness. This is the Amazon bestseller, Master Sha and Cynthia. But for the sake, they get on their phones and they get connected, but they become disconnected. Mm-hmm. How many of us, we've been on the subway or underground in London? I lived in Berlin, subways or the buses, or you're in a restaurant. Everybody's on their phones. They're with people, yet they're disconnected. They're connectedly disconnected. It's the irony of the world we live in. And so we're around people. We're with people. But are we really connected and even aware that that person next to you is suffering so much that your smile, your joy, your love could just be an absolute gift for their day, maybe even their week, maybe their life.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. Just like you said, looking around, just even being out in public or even at home and just seeing what is the time that we're spending, even if we're physically together, that we are not connecting.
I remember this time with you, Alexia.
Okay.
And we were traveling to London.
Yeah.
Francisco, another leading teacher, is Master Sha. I think there was maybe Venkat.
Yep.
Was there anyone else? And us?
Yeah.
Maybe one other person. And we were in the security line and a woman fell over.
Right.
And she fell down, and everyone in the security line were like walking by her, and you're like Wonder Woman. you jump like 2 rows back, you go over and you go to her, and then I follow you. Right. And right away you start talking to her, giving her love, helping her know she's okay. I asked her, can I offer you a spiritual blessing? I offered her a spiritual blessing. But so many people just walk by a woman in a security line because everybody has somewhere to go. Mm-hmm. They got to be on time. They got to catch a flight. They got whatever. And a woman falls down in front of them. And you jump 2 rows back and cut the line to go talk to her. And how many people walk by, just maybe stared, didn't want to see or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Completely forgot about that till you say it, but now that you say it, I'm remembering, and it's like wild. You're absolutely right. There were so many people just flooding on by. And when you think of the amount of times something similar has happened, it's like it's kind of astounding. And sometimes I think everyone has their reasons. A lot of times I feel like you said, it's connected to people having somewhere to be, somewhere to go, folk thinking about themselves essentially,
Basically, yeah.
you know? And also fear. Maybe people are scared. I don't know what to do, or what will I say, or how. And I love what you said about just sharing your love. Like maybe, like I didn't even know what I would, like I don't have the answers, but like you said, sometimes we just for someone to know someone is present with them and there, or just to even say hi, or just have that interaction is it's interesting this conversation's going this way.
I agree, because
I'm like, we were not intending that, but it's like I think it's an important message for the world.
and do you remember when the woman got up and she sat up and then she got up, and of course the the security, the people came from the airport,
Right.
and they were there. But then she looked, and the way she thanked you and us, just the gratitude, like, wow, thank you for being there, and I'm gonna be okay. But she was jolted and jarred, and by you jumping over there and us being able to assist in that moment in the ways we could, it helped her in that moment. Yet, how many times people are just passing by.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you've done a lot of traveling. Like you've lived in all, like you mentioned, Berlin, in London, you're in Toronto, you're from California. So like how has that been for you as being a part of your journey, like needing to adapt and be in all these new places, like different languages, totally different cultures, new communities of people. So how was that adjustment for you in like that whole journey? Youth mental health is one of America's most urgent challenges. A vast percentage of United States high school students report persistent sadness or hopelessness. Research shows that art and music therapy can reduce anxiety and depression and strengthen emotional regulation skills. By joining as a Love Peace Harmony member for $35 a month, you help fund healing art and music workshops, mindfulness and emotional wellness programs, and safe spaces for youth connection and confidence, building stronger communities together, bringing healing and hope nationwide. Join us at lovepeaceharmony.org today.
When I moved from California to Germany, it was first Frankfurt and then Berlin. I remember I left California. It was February. It was like 18, 20 degrees Celsius. I landed in Frankfurt. It was like -3 and snowing. It was like this California boy. I was like, where am I? And everything's in German and this and that. And it was a healing and transformation process to, you rent a place. It has an 8-page contract. The translation they give you is 2 minutes verbally. You just sign it away, no attachment. But it helped me grow and heal and transform and evolve in ways I never would have staying where I grew up. And you can go to any culture and very quickly you'll see their strengths, where they can improve. You'll see your own cultural strengths and where you can improve. And it allows you to expand and go out of what you think the world's like or what your world's like. Experience other people's worlds, and it changes you and it melds with you. Where if you stay away long enough, most people, they go back, and there is psychology around this. They go back. Usually it's after 2, 3, 4 years. They don't fully relate to the people where they come from because they change so much. And I'm not saying that's bad or good, but living, outside of my country since 2010 has changed and involved me in ways that I would recommend anyone go live somewhere else, get into the culture. That's different than vacationing with people from your culture.
Yes.
Get into the culture. And if it's in a language you don't know, do it for 6 months, 12 months. you will be in situations you are forced to grow. You will be uncomfortable at times, but it will show you something about yourself you may not tap into unless you change that environment.
What are some of those things that you discovered?
For me, growing up in America with the media and everything there, like the American Super Bowl, right? It's huge in America. Like half the US people watch the Super Bowl. Commercials are like millions, maybe they're tens of millions of dollars at this point for 30 seconds. When you go to Europe, not a lot of people watch it. It's more about the World Cup and, soccer, which you call it soccer, but it's football the rest of the world. And you see things that you thought were like the biggest thing. Where you're from, it may not be so big somewhere else. So things like that changed my perspective. I also learned in Europe, generally speaking, there's difference between American and Californian. And this is the interesting thing. At first, they say, where are you from? America. Half the time I would get like a unpleasant response. And then they would say, well, what part? I said, California. It was 100% happy, positive response. What are you doing here? I'd be there. And I was like, have you been there? No, but I would be there. So I learned that because of Hollywood and TV, there's this view of California that's very different than the view of America. Now, psychologically, I can't explain it because I'm the Californian. But then I changed and they say, where are you from? I say, I'm Californian. 100% positive response everywhere. And I was like, wow, that's different. There's in the consciousness of at least many of the places I've been in Europe, there's a difference between an American and a Californian. So I'm just going to tell everyone I'm a Californian, and I get smiles, I get laughs, I get joys, hearts open, and people are happy with you. It's fascinating, actually.
Yeah, I love like what you're saying about just putting ourselves out of our comfort zones. And like, it's like, for example, those responses and reactions, if you were just in California, it would not even be a thing because you're with other Californians or with other people. So like being in those environments, interacting with other people.
And in America, you may not view Californians the way
exactly.
Californians. But the other thing I had to confront was not being able to understand the language or to read the files and to sign legal contracts. That was very uncomfortable for me, and yet I went through it. And I trusted those that were helping me.
Yeah.
So those were, and then there's different celebrations. There's different cultural ways, and to experience those can be quite amazing.
It's like expanding the world. The world is is a big place, and there's so much to discover. And I will meet so many people who have never even left their hometown for whatever reasons, financially, not wanting to travel, or not feeling like they had the opportunity to, things like that. But travel really expands the world. It grows our consciousness. It allows us to see the way other people live, and that the way that we live isn't the whole world. There are so many ways that we exist all around the world. And like with Love, Peace, Harmony, we have such a large community globally of people who tap into this community and are a part of it, from all walks of life and cultural backgrounds, belief systems. And I believe you've had a lot of experience with that, being one of Master Sha's leading teachers for so many years. He has such a global following of students and practitioners. So it's just amazing to hear the stories and hear everyone. And I know a lot of people, not just in North America, but around the world, have read this book, The Greatest Forgiveness, which you co-authored. And it's transformed so many people's lives with the practices, with the wisdom, with the calligraphies inside. So I would be very curious to learn a little bit about this book and just what it means to you. Like, what is the greatest forgiveness?
So, the greatest forgiveness. Master Sha wrote this in the book that I'm just going to read from the book because it's just, Master Sha makes things simple. They're still profound. And what is the greatest forgiveness? You asked the question. It is unconditional forgiveness. Unconditional forgiveness is to forgive completely, without any conditions or expectations. It is to let go totally of any upset, anger, vengefulness, victimization, sense of injustice, anxiety, fear, and more. That's what it is. And so when we're experiencing any of that, what happens is there's something in our soul journey, in our life, whether it's conscious or unconscious, that needs forgiveness. And some people think to apologize or to say you're sorry, you're weak. You're losing face. Why are you going to apologize? You're right, they're wrong, and all the egotistical blah, blah, blah. But forgiveness sets you free. And there's actually now over 600 scientific researches on forgiveness. People can Google, scientific research on forgiveness. Collectively, they show that those who can forgive and let it go have less cardiovascular, less psychological, less mental and emotional issues and disorders than those that cannot forgive. Forgiveness was a big part of my self-healing of OCD. I needed the Tao spiritual healing through Master Sha and all that he brings. I needed to do the self-practice, which included forgiveness. Now, here's the thing that unites us all around the world, how we were talking about all of this. You can go to any culture, or anywhere, you're going to find people who are sick, people who are suffering. OCD is not related to any nationality, any region, any country. The same for PTSD or social disorders, anxiety disorders, ADHD, cancer, chronic pain. It's around the world. So regardless of where we come from, people are searching for healing. They want to get out of their suffering, their inner prisons, their inner hells, their inner worlds. And forgiveness, unconditional forgiveness, is something we all can do. And we can let it go. And it brings the inner joy and inner freedom. And it can take time. It can be hard for some people to completely forgive. Many people can usually partially forgive, but we disguise it. We want to think better about ourselves, right? Oh, I forgave her or him. They just have what's coming to them one day. That's not forgiveness. That's called revenge packaged up to make yourself feel better. It's like, so, and we learn, you make fun of me, I make fun of you. That's not forgiveness. That's revenge. You hit me, I hit you. The movies, even the music, sometimes it's about revenge. Yeah. That's not forgiveness. That's called payback. And so when you can truly unconditionally forgive and let go of everything, your inner world can change. Maybe the people around you don't change, but fully, maybe they do, but your response changes. And at some point, you have to ask yourself, what is the cost of me not forgiving? What is it? It's going to be your love. It's going to be your joy. It's going to be your inner peace. It's going to be those walks, wherever you like to walk or what you like to enjoy. Because when you don't forgive, you go on that walk, you're often on the phone or you're texting or you're complaining inside, you're like upset. And even though you're in a beautiful place, you're stuck in this lack of forgiveness and you can't even enjoy it. How many people go out to the cafes and restaurants, complain about blah, 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 blah. There's no forgiveness. You're complaining. You're upset. You're irritated. You're bothered. Versus, wow, this is the best coffee or tea I've ever had. Best water, best whatever. Wow, I actually be with my friend and I get to be uplifting, not, this heavy negativity. And yet people are doing that because they're suffering and they just need solutions. And this book is an Amazon bestseller, Greatest Forgiveness. Anyone can go to Amazon, purchase it. This is a doorway, a gateway to freedom. Forgiveness will set you free.
Absolutely. My gosh, this is this book has a special place in my heart because The Greatest Love and The Greatest Forgiveness, 2 books, they played such a big role in this journey in life. And I remember there would be days on the public transit. I still have my copies at home where I trace so hard, the calligraphy is just completely worn out because I'm touching the third trace. Forgiveness. But it really
And then her
works.
voices are like, don't forget.
Yeah, and you're like,
you're
Tracy.
right. He's wrong or she's wrong. Oh, how could they do that? Forgiveness, because it can be intense.
It can. And that's what I love about what you're sharing is it really is like a ticket to freedom. Doesn't necessarily mean it happens instantly, although it can.
Yeah.
But it could be like a process. It can be a practice. And so what I like about it is you mentioned this empowerment. It's almost like we, even no matter what someone has done, no matter how horrific, and it could even be something we have done. When you express the excerpt about unconditional forgiveness, that shifts everything because it just opens up this whole possibility that no matter who we are, no matter what our age, no matter what we've been through, what's been done to us or what we have done, there's always room for a liberation and some kind of a freedom. And that brings hope. That's a beautiful message.
And I've worked with thousands of people around the world, and generally, I would say 100%, almost 100%, maybe 95%, forgiveness practice is part of their self-healing. And if you look upon it in the world, how many relationships, partner relationships in a divorce, how many don't even make it to marriage? They just break up. How many family members, siblings or children and parents or whatever, they don't talk to each other. They cut them out of each other's life. Why? There's a lack of forgiveness. And yeah, logically we can say, oh, but they did this. They don't understand me. I'm different, blah, 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 blah. But there's something deeper than that. There's a pain. There is something that they feel so hurt with or wounded or traumatized by, and they cannot forgive. And for some people, there are some things, some thoughts, some speech, some actions that are completely unforgivable. And yes, there are some really cruel things that happen to people, and I'm not condoning them. Yet when that person who experiences it, or maybe even does it, cannot reach unconditional forgiveness, apologizing, forgiving oneself, they suffer. And many people take it with them to the grave. If you believe in future lifetimes, you take it to the future lifetimes. You take it on your soul journey. At the end of the day, when we go with our virtue. We go with who we are, what we thought, what we said, what we did. We're not going with the clothes. We're not going with the houses. We're not going with the money. We're going with our virtue. And whatever love, peace, harmony, whatever anger, revenge, negativity. So we get to choose, Master Sha teaches one-sentence secrets, right? The one-sentence secret of healing. Heal the soul first, then the healing of the heart, mind, body will follow. Or heal and transform the soul first, and the healing and transformation of every aspect of life will follow. Yet if you think about it, every one of us will be remembered generally in one sentence. Maybe 2 or 3. Maybe if you're really famous, something more. It's like, who's the first president of the United States? In America, you would know that. Do you know it? It's okay if you don't. George Washington. I say, who's the fifth president? Even I don't remember who the fifth president is. I mean, forgive me. I had to memorize all the presidents at that point. But it's like, who is the country leader of, the land of Greece 2,000 years ago? We're going to be like looking around the room. When you look at an obituary, how many people know that person at that point? Generally will be remembered in one sentence. That should ideally be the purpose of our life, whatever it is. Whether you're a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, you're a spiritual healer, you're a humanitarian. But if you don't know your one sentence, that one sentence will be defined for you by others. If you want to be remembered as a loving, kind, providing father, mother, mayor, lawyer, whatever, but you're holding anger and revenge and you're not living this, you won't reach that goal. Because you made the choice along the way not to forgive, not to love. And it just turns into a fantasy. So people are living their lives and they may have these dreams and these visions and these goals, but their day-to-day thoughts, speech, and actions don't help them achieve it. Or they're just like blowing in the wind. They go, okay, we go this way, we go this way, we go that way, we go this way. Our life was over. No more chance to call your sister you didn't speak to for 20 years. She died of a heart attack maybe suddenly. No more chance to write that book you wanted to write, you knew you were supposed to write, because you chose something else. So people need to know what the purpose of their life is for. Know what that one sentence at the end of their life should be, and do everything they can to fulfill it. Blockages, challenges, disasters, whatever, negativity, doubt, inner doubt, other people doubt you, guilt, people call you, tell you you're brainwashed, whatever. It's not only spiritual people that doubted. People with great business ideas are doubted and told they're crazy. Mm-hmm. But when you allow that to affect you, it can take you off your course. The greatest forgiveness is a major tool to go through all of that to achieve your life purpose.
That encapsulates just about every dream ever that we could want in our life. And I feel like it's true what you're saying about how we can use the greatest forgiveness. And one of the things is it's universal. It can apply to every one of us. And if you are listening or watching and you're like, this does not apply to me, look deeper. That's all I'm going to say.
Not only look deeper, but one of the questions I get is, well, how do I know I need to forgive?
Right.
My response is, when does forgiveness ever hurt the situation? It only helps.
Yeah.
If you're thinking maybe I need forgiveness, you probably do.
Yeah, for sure. And for some people, it's huge, very significant things. Perhaps even the concept of forgiveness is like unattainable. Like maybe it's hard to even imagine forgiving someone for what they've done. So my curiosity, before we bring this to a close, I want to talk about one thing, because you mentioned is forgiveness is not condoning what a person has done. And I do want to speak to that, because some people have experienced just unimaginable things in their lives that just the idea of forgiveness itself is unimaginable for them. So what would you say for someone who's dealing with something like that?
I would, of course, I offer my love and my compassion, and I'm not here to change their views. Mm-hmm. What I will say is, if you're suffering inside, you're angry, you're bitter, you're anxious, you're fearful, your behaviors have changed, by forgiving that soul, that person or those people, that situation, that topic, by asking for forgiveness also in life. Because sometimes it's not only what had just happened to one person. Sometimes it was the two going back and forth. And they both feel that way. By apologizing and ask for forgiveness, it will heal you and set you free. And it can take time.
And it doesn't make what happened right. Right?
I'm not saying what made it happen right, no.
Right.
But what I am saying is, as long as you don't forgive and you stay angry, you're going to suffer from that anger.
Yeah.
That stress.
Yeah.
And that coffee won't taste as good. That bike ride may not be as nice.
Yeah.
And even like me with OCD, you're going to have that moment of freedom. It's right back very shortly. Suffering, that inner hell, that inner prison. So, everybody has free will. They can choose the light, the positivity. They can choose the dark, the negativity in any moment in their thoughts, speech, and actions. You can choose anger and revenge. You can choose forgiveness and inner peace. Ultimately, guess what?
What?
When you wake up in the morning, you're with you. When you go to bed at night, you're with you. Every second of your life, you're with you. And even if these things happen to you that could be very horrible and traumatizing, you get to be with you. And I don't know about you, but I want my time with me to feel good and happy and joyful and whatever. And if I want that, I've got to get out all the pain, all the suffering, all the negativity. I got to do the inner work. I've got to forgive. I've got to let it go. That's just the way.
Absolutely. I could not think of a better way than to close today with that, and just that inspiration to just be in that place with ourselves, and that can heal the world. Because the more of us that do that,
I was going to say, be who you were meant to be.
Be who we're meant to be.
Not what something happened to knock you down and whatever. Be your soul calling, who your heart, your true heart. Be who you are meant to be.
I love it. Thank you, David. You are a catalyst of change. I feel changed. And I think our viewers and listeners will as well. And I want to encourage everybody to check out the Greatest Forgiveness book. Do you have any final words before we close?
Be who you are meant to be. Those are my final words. Be who you are meant to be.
Amazing. Well, thank you, David, for showing us that even the deepest struggles can become gateways to healing, hope, and transformation. Be who you are meant to be. If this conversation touched you, share it with someone navigating these challenges and searching for a path forward. Explore more of David's work. Read his books, How I Healed My Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder and The Greatest Forgiveness. Discover the transformative power of forgiveness. And as always, stay present, stay purposeful, and remember, be who you are meant to be. You are the catalyst.